He's straight out of London, England. He's Peter King, the mmqb.com. How's England, Pete?
Everything's going good here, Dan. Visiting my brother and his family over here. Headed back a little bit later today.
Are you recognized in England?
No, I'm not. Except as the guy with the with the funny accent. That's really about it.
I saw a sign where the sign said zebra humping crossing?
Humped zebra crossing. It's called a zebra here.
Oh, yes. Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, there are not zebras humping here. No.
All right, what happened over the weekend that we should know about in the NFL?
I think the fact is that two positions are set up now to break the bank much more than any other ones, and that's offensive tackle and cornerback. I mean, at corner, Sam Shields of the Packers got 4 years and $39 million, and that set up, a player or two considered to be a better corner than Sam Shields. A guy like Alteron Werner of the Titans. This is the best news a guy like him could have gotten. And I think at tackle, you're going to see a little bit of a musical chairs game at tackle. I mean, the Raiders were unable to sign Jared Veld here to be their left tackle of the future. He's going to go out and seek his fortune. He'll get probably between $8 and $10 million, I think, in Arizona. And, I think also what ends up happening then is that kind of the oft-injured Roger Saffold, who had been a Ram for 4 years, I think has a good shot of going to Oakland. And Eugene Monroe, I think, could be set up to go back to Baltimore, which would really please the Ravens no end because they think he is an adequate to above-average replacement at long-term answer at left tackle.
Interesting names out there. Michael Vick, I don't know if he thinks he's going to be a starter with this next move, can be a starter, or does he go to a contender as a backup? What do you think?
Well, I think Vick was really disappointed that Minnesota re-signed Matt Castle. I think Michael really would have liked to have gone to Minnesota to play with Adrian Peterson, to throw the ball to Cordero Patterson and Greg Jennings. And now I think he has a choice, or is going to have a choice. Certainly he's going to draw some interest from the Jets. I think he's going to want to know, am I going to be able to compete equally on equal ground with Geno Smith for the starting job? If I lose it, that's fine. I'll be a good guy. I'll help Geno Smith and all that. But I think he would, if he goes to the Jets, he would want to know that he would come in and have a good shot to win the starting job. And if not, I could see Michael Vick taking a flyer and going to be a backup in a place like San Francisco, because where would you want to be a backup? Would you want to be a backup with, say, the Jets or with the 49ers, where you have a chance to play deep into January? So I think that's probably what Vick is thinking about this morning on the eve of free agency.
He's Peter King. The website is the mmqb.com. Joining us from England on the Dan Patrick Show. Mark Sanchez, kind of quiet on the Mark Sanchez front. Does he stay with the Jets, or does he move on?
I think he probably moves on. I think one of the things about Sanchez right now is that I don't see how the Jets can think that they can bring him back and that he be any more than just an insurance policy that they hope they don't have to use. I don't see him being back with the Jets. But, the Jets are going to have to be successful on another front, Vick, McCown, et cetera, in order to do that.
What about Jimmy Graham returning to the Saints?
Makes the most sense, Dan, because I know there was some saber-rattling a week or so ago that, after he got the franchise tag, that maybe a smart play would be for, say, Green Bay or Seattle or a really good team with a tight end need to reach out and to sign him to an offer sheet. But the problem there, Dan, is that then you got to pay 2 ones in a year where there's a very, very good draft, and you also probably have to pay him $11 or $12 million. So a year. So if the highest paid tight end currently is at 9, and you'd be paying him $2 or $3 million more plus 2 ones, I don't see it. The best deal for him, I think, is going to come back to signing long term with the Saints for about $10 million a year.
One of my favorite players is Darren Sproles.
No question.
He's electric. He makes things happen. But now where's he go since the Saints cut him?
Well, I think it depends. That could be a little bit of game of musical chairs, too, because, there's a lot of teams that like that really quick, kind of flashy back. I think it depends, how the Chiefs are sitting in their backfield situation once free agency shakes out. I think he's going to be one of those guys, Dan, who is going to be a couple of weeks into it because he's got some age on him, obviously. He's starting to decline some, but, I've gotten this thing a little bit on Twitter with people over the weekend that, they say he's done or Kyrie Robinson can take his place. I said, look, this guy gave the Saints 8.3 yards a touch every time he touched the ball on average, and I don't think he's done. I think he was impressive in the playoffs this year in his very limited role. He's still got some explosive plays left in him, and I think he's going to make somebody a good, reasonably priced, say $2 million a year acquisition.
Texans more likely to draft a quarterback or trade for a quarterback?
Draft one. I know there's been a lot of noise about Ryan Mallett. I don't see it. Ryan Mallett hasn't played a football game in 4 years. Mm-hmm. And I just was a little bit surprised that people thought that Houston would look at him and give him the first shot to be their long-term quarterback just because Bill O'Brien coached him for 1 year in 2011 in New England. I didn't connect the dots that way. And
I saw Matt Castle. I thought Matt Castle seemed like that could have some steam to it.
It seemed like it made sense, but I think the way that Castle looked at it is that Castle had a little bit of a bird in the hand. He's going to get a chance to work with Norv Turner in Minnesota on a 2-year deal. It's not just a hope and a prayer contract. I think, and Minnesota still could draft a quarterback, but Castle's going to have the chance to take the first snap opening day, and I don't know that there was ever any guarantee he could do that in Houston.
I know Houston with their defense 3-4, but the possibility of being a 4-3, or is that a big deal if you decide you don't want Clowney because of the defense that you play?
I don't really think that is going to be the determining factor in whether you take Jadeveon Clowney, because I think Clowney, depending on, look, DeMarcus Ware has switched back and forth a bit in his career, between a guy who is technically a defensive end or an outside linebacker. A great player is going to be able to fit in either one of those systems.
Before I let you go, you're in London. Over the next 10 years, do we have a team or a Super Bowl in London?
I'm going to say neither. What I'm going to say is I think in London, in the next 10 years, there will be a collection of games each season that will be sold something like a season ticket. Let's say 6 games a year that NFL teams will play either all in London or in different spots in Europe. And it'll be sold as a season subscription. Who knows if they sell it out. But, Dan, I think the NFL looks at this and says, business is just too good. If we can sell 240,000 tickets in the span of a week or so over here for 3 games in 2014, we have got to simply continue to look at this as a viable market for the NFL.
Safe travels, Pete. Thanks for joining us.
All the best, Dan. Take care.